The gleaming spires of New York City pierced the azure sky, their sleek surfaces reflecting the golden light of dawn. Holographic billboards flickered to life, announcing the upcoming galactic beauty pageant in a dazzling array of alien languages. On the bustling streets below, humans and extraterrestrial visitors hurried about their business, creating a vibrant tapestry of life that seemed to pulse with energy. Tom Harrison stood at the window of his 200th floor office, his keen hazel eyes scanning the cityscape. At 35, he cut an impressive figure in his tailored graphene suit, his chiseled features set in determination. As the lead organizer of the pageant, he carried the weight of Earth's future on his broad shoulders. A knock at the door interrupted his contemplation. "Come in," Tom called, turning from the window with a roguish grin. His assistant, a petite woman with cybernetic enhancements gleaming at her temples, entered. "Mr. Harrison, the Galactic Council representatives have arrived for the final inspection." "Ah, the moment of truth," Tom quipped, straightening his tie. "Time to charm the pants off some aliens." Figuratively speaking, of course. Some of them don't even wear pants. Zara rolled her eyes, but a smile tugged at her lips. "Just try not to start an interstellar incident, sir." Tom winked as he strode past her. "Where's the fun in that?" As he made his way through the corridors of the New York Galactic Embassy, Tom's mind raced with the enormity of the task ahead. Earth's recent admission to the Galactic Union had been met with skepticism and derision from many advanced civilizations. This pageant was their chance to prove humanity's worth. He entered the conference room, where 3 alien dignitaries waited. Their towering forms and iridescent skin marked them as Centaurians, one of the most influential species in the Union. "Gentlemen," Tom greeted them, his voice resonating with confidence and a hint of mischief. "Welcome to Earth. I hope you didn't have any trouble with customs. Last week they tried to quarantine a Regellian ambassador because they thought his third arm was an exotic pet." The lead Centaurian, Ambassador Zixner, fixed Tom with all 4 of his eyes. "Your attempt at humor is noted, Mr. Harrison. Though I must say, the accommodations on your planet leave much to be desired. Are all your structures so quaint?" Tom's jaw tightened, but his smile remained unwavering. "Well, Ambassador, we may not have buildings that touch the stratosphere, but I guarantee our quaintness has its charms. Now, shall we begin the inspection? I promise not to show you our secret underground lair where we're planning galactic domination." Oops, did I say that out loud? As they toured the venue, a massive state-of-the-art arena constructed specifically for the pageant, Tom highlighted the unique features designed to accommodate contestants from various worlds. He emphasized Earth's commitment to inclusivity and cultural exchange, peppering his explanations with witty asides that seemed to both amuse and confound the Centaurians. "And here," Tom said, gesturing to a large shimmering pool, "is our variable gravity aquatic stage, perfect for our water-dwelling contestants. We considered adding a lava pit for our more heat-resistant participants, but insurance rates these days are killer." Ambassador Zixner's expression remained impassive, but Tom detected a flicker of intrigue in his compound eyes. "Impressive," he conceded grudgingly. "But tell me, Mr. Harrison, how do you intend to ensure fair judging when your species has such limited experience with galactic standards of beauty?" Tom met the ambassador's gaze squarely, his tone becoming serious. "Beauty, Ambassador, is universal. Our judges have been carefully selected from diverse backgrounds and have undergone extensive training. We believe that true beauty transcends physical appearance and encompasses character, intelligence, and the ability to bridge cultural divides. Plus, we've got a really fancy point system that even factors in non-Euclidean geometries. You know, for our contestants from dimensions beyond our comprehension." The Centaurian's mandibles twitched in what might have been amusement. "A lofty ideal, Mr. Harrison. We shall see if your species can live up to it." As the inspection concluded, Tom felt a mixture of relief and excitement. The first hurdle had been cleared, but the real challenge was yet to come. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the luxury starliner Celestial Empress glided through the cosmos, its sleek hull gleaming like a jewel against the backdrop of stars. In the ship's most opulent suite, Akira lounged on a hovering chaise, her lithe 7-foot frame draped in a shimmering gown that seemed to capture the very essence of starlight. Akira's violet eyes, with their distinctive double irises, surveyed her fellow contestants with a mixture of amusement and disdain. Her luminescent skin glowed softly, a testament to her Luminian heritage, a species renowned throughout the galaxy for their ethereal beauty. "Can you believe they're actually holding the pageant on Earth?" she mused, her melodic voice tinged with derision. "I hear their gravity is absolutely dreadful for one's posture. I might shrink to a mere 6 feet tall." Zarathul, a willowy creature with translucent skin that revealed the swirling nebulae within her body, tittered in agreement. "I heard their atmosphere is positively toxic. Imagine breathing oxygen like some primitive organism." Akira's laugh tinkled like crystal. "Well, we mustn't judge too harshly. After all, they've only just learned to leave their quaint little solar system. It's almost adorable, don't you think? Like watching a baby take its first steps, if the baby were an entire species." The other contestants joined in the laughter, their various forms of mirth creating a cacophony of alien sounds. Akira basked in their adoration, secure in her position as the favorite to win. A holographic display materialized before them, showing images of Earth and its inhabitants. Akira leaned forward, her curiosity piqued despite herself. "How fascinating," she murmured, studying the diverse array of human faces. "They're so expressive, almost like children, or particularly emotive vegetables." Zarathul slithered closer, her nebulous form rippling with interest. "They say humans have an unusual capacity for emotion. Apparently, it makes them quite unpredictable." Akira's lips curved into a smirk. "Unpredictable or not, they're no match for true galactic beauty. This pageant will be a mere formality, a chance to show these charming primitives what real civilization looks like. Though I must admit, I'm curious to see how they'll manage to fit all of us on their tiny stages. Perhaps they'll provide magnifying glasses for the audience." As the celestial empress approached Earth's solar system, Akira felt a flutter of anticipation. She had conquered countless worlds with her beauty and charm, but Earth presented a unique challenge. These humans, with their quaint notions and limited understanding of the cosmos, would be putty in her hands. Little did she know that her entire worldview was about to be challenged. The sleek shuttlecraft pierced Earth's atmosphere, its hull glowing red-hot as it descended towards the sprawling metropolis of New York. Akira peered out the viewport, her expression a mixture of curiosity and contempt. As they touched down on the landing pad atop the Galactic Embassy, Akira's nose wrinkled at the assault of unfamiliar scents. The air felt thick and heavy in her lungs, the gravity tugging at her limbs with unexpected force. "Goodness," she muttered, taking a tentative step onto Earth soil. "I feel like I'm wading through syrup. How do these humans manage to move at all?" A delegation of human officials waited to greet them, their faces upturned in awe at the sight of the alien beauties. Akira stepped forward, her movements graceful despite the challenging conditions. She towered over the humans, her luminescent skin casting an ethereal glow in the morning sunlight. "Welcome to Earth," a stout man in an ill-fitting suit wheezed, his face red with exertion. "We're honored to host the Galactic Beauty Pageant. If you'll follow me, we've arranged transportation to your accommodations." Akira inclined her head regally, hiding her distaste behind a mask of polite indifference. "How kind," she purred. "I do hope your vehicles are equipped with adequate life support. I'd hate to suffocate before the competition even begins." As they were ushered into a fleet of hover cars, she couldn't help but notice the primitive nature of the technology surrounding them. "This is what they consider advanced transportation?" she muttered to Zarathul, who had morphed her nebulous form into a more humanoid shape for the duration of their stay. "I've seen more sophisticated technology in children's toys." The journey through the city was a sensory overload. The cacophony of sounds, the riot of colors, and the press of bodies in the streets below were unlike anything Akira had experienced in her travels across the galaxy. Despite herself, she found her gaze drawn to the vibrant displays of human life. Their hovercar convoy finally arrived at a towering structure that seemed to scrape the very sky. "The Cosmic Pinnacle Hotel," their guide announced proudly, "Earth's first and only 7-star accommodation designed specifically for our esteemed galactic visitors." Akira raised an eyebrow. 7 stars? How charmingly provincial. On my homeworld, we rate our establishments on a scale of supernovas. As they entered the lobby, Akira's keen eyes took in every detail. The attempts at replicating alien aesthetics were clumsy at best, offensive at worst. Yet there was something oddly charming about the earnestness of the effort. A harried-looking human woman approached, clipboard in hand. "Miss Akira, I'm Sophia, your liaison for the duration of the pageant. There's a press conference scheduled in an hour. Would you like to refresh yourself before then?" Akira nodded imperiously. "Very well. I trust the facilities are adequate. I require a minimum of 3 different gravitational fields for my beauty regimen." Sophia's smile faltered slightly. "We've done our best to accommodate all species, but if there's anything you need, please don't hesitate to ask." As Akira was shown to her suite, she couldn't shake the feeling of being a giant in a world built for dwarfs. Everything seemed absurdly small and fragile. She moved carefully, acutely aware of her own strength in this unfamiliar environment. The press conference was a spectacle of flashing cameras and shouted questions. Akira stood at the podium, towering over the sea of human reporters. Their questions seemed laughably provincial to her ears. "Miss Akira, what do you think of Earth so far?" She plastered on her most dazzling smile, her skin pulsing with bioluminescence. "Earth is quaint. Your species has much to learn, but your enthusiasm is commendable. It's rather like watching a child proudly show off a mud pie to a master chef. Do you believe a human contestant stands a chance in the pageant?" Akira's laugh tinkled like wind chimes. "Beauty is universal, of course, but true galactic beauty requires an understanding of the cosmos that takes millennia to cultivate. I'm sure your human contestants will provide charming local color. Perhaps they can showcase their ability to breathe oxygen or their talent for walking on 2 legs." As the questions continued, Akira found herself growing increasingly irritated by the humans' lack of understanding. Their concept of beauty seemed hopelessly limited, focused on such trivial matters as symmetry and proportion. By the time the press conference ended, Akira's facade of politeness was wearing thin. She retreated to her suite, desperate for a moment of solitude to collect her thoughts. The Galactic Embassy ballroom was a riot of color and sound, filled with dignitaries from across the known universe. Holographic displays shimmered in the air, showcasing the diverse beauty of countless worlds. Akira glided through the crowd, her luminescent gown leaving a trail of starlight in her wake. She paused to accept a flute of iridescent liquid from a passing drone, her keen senses analyzing its composition before taking a delicate sip. The flavor exploded on her tongue, a surprisingly complex blend of earth fruits and alien essences. "Impressed?" a deep voice asked from beside her. Akira turned, ready to dismiss the speaker with a cutting remark. The words died on her lips as she found herself face to face with a human male whose presence seemed to command the very air around him. Tom Harrison smiled, his hazel eyes twinkling with intelligence and warmth. "Tom Harrison," he introduced himself, extending a hand. "Lead organizer of the pageant. It's an honor to have you here, Miss Akira. I hope you're finding Earth to your liking. We may not have 3 suns or floating cities, but we do have excellent coffee and an impressive variety of cat videos." Akira hesitated for a fraction of a second before taking his hand. The touch sent an unexpected tingle through her biomagnetic field. "The honor is mine, Mr. Harrison. I must say, this reception has exceeded my modest expectations, though I'm not entirely sure what a cat video is. Is it some form of primitive combat training?" Tom's smile widened, a hint of challenge in his eyes. "Oh, it's much more dangerous than that. Cats have been known to conquer entire planets with their cuteness. But don't worry, I'll protect you from their furry wiles." "Indeed," Akira arched an eyebrow, intrigued despite herself. "And what other dangers should I be wary of on your quaint little world, Mr. Harrison?" "Well, for one, we've developed a universal translator that can convey not just words, but cultural context and emotional nuance," Tom explained, his enthusiasm evident. "It's allowed us to bridge gaps between species that were once thought insurmountable. Though I should warn you, it occasionally translates sarcasm into interpretive dance." Akira's eyes widened slightly, a smile tugging at her lips. "Impressive. Though I wonder, Mr. Harrison, how your species hopes to compete in a pageant that celebrates the pinnacle of galactic beauty when you've had so little exposure to the greater universe? Or is interpretive dance one of your secret weapons? Tom's response was immediate and passionate, though tinged with humor. Beauty, Miss Akira, is not just about physical appearance or technological advancement. It's about the capacity for growth, for empathy, for seeing the wonder in the unknown. Humanity may be young, but our potential is limitless. Plus, we've got great hair. Have you seen these luscious locks? He ran a hand through his artfully tousled hair, striking a mock pose. For the first time in centuries, Akira found herself at a loss for words, torn between amusement and intrigue. This human's wit and charm were unexpected. A charming sentiment, she managed, struggling to maintain her air of superiority, though perhaps a bit naive. And I'm not entirely convinced about the hair. Naive, Tom chuckled. Maybe, but it's that very naivety that drives us to reach for the stars, to dream bigger than our small world. Isn't that a form of beauty in itself? And as for the hair, I'll have you know it's been voted most gravity-defying 3 years running. As they continued to converse, Akira found herself drawn into a debate on galactic politics, art, and philosophy, peppered with playful banter and witty exchanges. Tom's knowledge was surprisingly vast, his arguments well-reasoned and thought-provoking. She hadn't expected to find such depth or such humor in a human. The evening wore on, and Akira realized with a start that she had spent the majority of the reception engrossed in conversation with Tom. As they parted ways, she felt an odd sense of regret. Back in her suite, Akira stood before the floor-to-ceiling window, gazing out at the glittering cityscape. Her mind whirled with conflicting thoughts and emotions. The humans, it seemed, were far more complex than she had initially believed. And Tom Harrison, she couldn't shake the memory of his passionate words, his unwavering belief in humanity's potential, and his infuriatingly charming sense of humor. For the first time in her long life, Akira felt a flicker of doubt about her own superiority. As she prepared for bed, her gaze fell on the holographic display of tomorrow's schedule. The first round of the pageant loomed, but suddenly it seemed far less important than it had just hours ago. Akira closed her eyes, trying to center herself. But in the darkness behind her eyelids, all she could see was Tom's earnest face, challenging her to see beyond her preconceptions, and making her laugh in the process. Sleep was long in coming that night, and when it did, Akira's dreams were filled with swirling galaxies, the echo of a human voice that spoke of beauty beyond measure, and inexplicably, cats performing interpretive dance routines. The sun peeked over the horizon, painting New York City in hues of golden rose. Akira stood on her balcony, her luminescent skin dimmed to a soft glow as she absorbed the unfamiliar warmth of Earth's star. She'd barely slept, her mind a whirlwind of conflicting thoughts and emotions. A chime from her suite's communication panel startled her from her reverie. Tom's voice filled the room, chipper and infuriatingly awake. "Good morning, Starshine. Ready to dive into the wild world of human culture?" Akira groaned, running a hand through her shimmering hair. "Mr. Harrison, do you have any idea what time it is?" "Time to seize the day," Tom replied, his enthusiasm undimmed. "Come on, we've got museums to explore, music to hear, and at least 3 types of street food to regret eating later." Despite herself, Akira felt a smile tugging at her lips. "Very well, you persistent human. Give me a moment to make myself presentable. We can't all roll out of bed looking like the pinnacle of evolution." "Flattery will get you everywhere," Tom quipped. "Meet you in the lobby in 20 Earth minutes. Don't forget to bring your sense of wonder." As Akira prepared for the day, she couldn't shake the strange flutter in her chest. Was it anticipation, anxiety, or perhaps a mild allergic reaction to Earth's atmosphere? She pushed the thought aside, focusing on the task at hand. After all, this was merely research for the pageant. Nothing more. The lobby bustled with activity as Akira descended in the grav lift. Tom stood out from the crowd, his easy grin and relaxed posture a stark contrast to the harried hotel staff and bewildered alien tourists. "There's my favorite extraterrestrial beauty queen," Tom called out, earning a few curious glances from passers-by. "Ready to have your mind blown by the wonders of human civilization?" Akira arched an eyebrow, her lips quirking in amusement. I remain skeptical, Mr. Harrison, but I suppose I'm willing to be educated. Their first stop was the Metropolitan Museum of Art. As they wandered through the vast halls, Akira found herself unexpectedly moved by the diversity and depth of human creativity. She paused before a massive Jackson Pollock canvas, her head tilted in contemplation. I don't understand, she murmured. It looks like chaos, and yet there's a strange harmony to it. Tom nodded, his voice uncharacteristically soft. That's the beauty of it. Pollock believed that art could tap into the unconscious mind, expressing emotions and ideas beyond words. Akira turned to him, her violet eyes wide with surprise. I had no idea humans were capable of such abstract thought. It's almost like the cosmic dance of quasars, rendered in primitive pigments. High praise indeed, Tom grinned. Just wait until I introduce you to interpretive dance. It's like this painting, but with more flailing and occasional spandex. As they moved through the museum, Akira found herself paying as much attention to Tom as to the artworks. His passion for his species' culture was infectious, his insight surprisingly profound. She caught herself more than once staring at the way his eyes lit up when explaining a particularly meaningful piece. Their next stop was a small jazz club tucked away in a basement. The intimate space was filled with the smoky tones of a saxophone and the gentle tinkling of piano keys. Akira closed her eyes, letting the unfamiliar rhythms wash over her. It's like mathematics made audible, she breathed. How do they create such complex harmonies with such simple instruments? Tom leaned in close, his breath warm against her ear. That's the magic of jazz. It's all about improvisation, finding beauty in the moment. Kind of like life, don't you think? Akira's skin flickered with bioluminescence, a telltale sign of her emotional state. She hoped Tom wouldn't notice in the dim light of the club. Perhaps, she conceded, though I'm not sure the galactic beauty pageant judges will appreciate such unpredictability. Their loss, Tom shrugged. Sometimes the most beautiful things are the ones you don't see coming. The day continued in a whirlwind of new experiences. They sampled street food from a dozen different cultures, Akira's enhanced taste buds marveling at the explosion of flavors. They attended a poetry reading where Akira found herself moved to tears by the raw emotion in the human voices. As the afternoon sun began to dip toward the horizon, Tom led Akira into Central Park. The green oasis in the heart of the city bustled with life. Joggers, families, and couples of various species enjoying the warm spring day. Now, Tom said, a mischievous glint in his eye, I'm going to teach you one of humanity's greatest skills. People watching. Akira frowned. I don't understand. We've been observing humans all day. Tom shook his head, guiding her to a bench. This is different. We're going to look for the beauty in the everyday. Watch. He pointed to an elderly couple shuffling along the path, hand in hand. See how they lean into each other? That's 70 years of love right there. And over there, he nodded towards a young girl chasing butterflies. That's pure joy and wonder. Akira's gaze softened as she began to see the park through Tom's eyes. A jogger's determined stride, a street performer's passionate guitar strumming, a dog's unbridled enthusiasm for a simple stick. Each moment held its own unique beauty. It's overwhelming, Akira admitted. How do you process so much emotion? Tom smiled, his hand coming to rest next to hers on the bench. We don't, not really. We just let ourselves feel it. That's what makes life beautiful, Akira. Not perfection, but the messy, chaotic, wonderful experience of being alive. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the bustling park faded away. Akira felt a warmth spreading through her chest, a sensation both terrifying and exhilarating. The spell was broken by a frisbee sailing between them, followed by an enthusiastic golden retriever. Tom laughed, reaching down to scratch the dog's ears. See? Unexpected joy. That's what life on Earth is all about. As the sun began to set, Tom led Akira to one final destination, the observation deck of the Empire State Building. The city spread out beneath them, a glittering tapestry of lights and life. It's beautiful, Akira breathed, her hands resting on the railing. I never imagined. Tom, how can your species create such wonder when you've barely left your own planet. Tom stepped closer, his shoulder brushing against hers. Maybe because we put all that energy into understanding ourselves and each other. We may not have mastered interstellar travel, but we've got a pretty good handle on the human heart. Akira turned to face him, suddenly aware of how close they were standing. And what does the human heart tell you now, Tom Harrison? His eyes met hers, filled with warmth and something deeper. It tells me that beauty isn't about perfection or technological advancement. It's about connection, about seeing the wonder in each other and in the world around us. Akira felt her breath catch in her throat. That's a very human perspective. Maybe, Tom smiled, his hand coming up to brush a strand of her shimmering hair behind her ear. But I think it might be a universal truth. The space between them seemed to crackle with energy. Akira's skin pulsed with bioluminescence, reflecting the city lights. She found herself leaning in, drawn by a force as inexorable as gravity. Their lips met, soft and tentative at first, then with growing passion. Akira felt as though she were touching a live wire, every nerve in her body singing with sensation. It was nothing like the calculated, emotionless encounters she'd experienced in her long life. This was raw, unpredictable, and utterly intoxicating. When they finally parted, both were breathless. Akira's mind reeled, trying to process the flood of new emotions. "Well," Tom said, a grin spreading across his face, "I'd say that's a pretty good example of unexpected beauty, wouldn't you?" Akira laughed, the sound pure and unguarded. "I suppose I can't argue with empirical evidence, though I may need to conduct further research to be certain." As they stood on the observation deck, the city twinkling below and the stars emerging above, Akira felt a profound shift in her understanding of the universe. She had come to Earth expecting to find a primitive world, but instead, she discovered a depth of beauty and emotion she never knew existed. And as Tom's hand entwined with hers, she realized that her journey of discovery was only just beginning. The day of the galactic beauty pageant dawned, painting New York City in a palette of ethereal hues. Akira stood before the mirror in her dressing room, her luminescent skin pulsing with nervous energy. Her reflection stared back at her, a vision of alien perfection honed over centuries of competition. Yet for the first time in her long life, she felt uncertain. A soft knock at the door interrupted her reverie. "Come in," she called, expecting another harried human assistant. Instead, Tom's reflection appeared in the mirror, his easy smile a stark contrast to her own tense expression. "Hey there, cosmic goddess. Ready to dazzle the galaxy?" Akira turned, a wry smile tugging at her lips. "Mr. Harrison, I'm not sure your presence here is entirely appropriate. What would the other contestants say?" Tom's grin widened. "Probably something like, 'Who's that devastatingly handsome human, and how did he get past security?'" He softened his tone, stepping closer. "How are you feeling?" Akira sighed, her bioluminescence dimming slightly. "Confused. Conflicted. I've spent my entire life preparing for moments like this. And now—" She trailed off, unsure how to articulate the tumult of emotions swirling within her. Tom nodded, understanding in his eyes. "Now you're wondering if winning is really what matters most." "Precisely," Akira admitted. "Tom, I've seen such beauty here on Earth, not just in your art or your music, but in the way your species lives, loves, creates. How can I stand on that stage and pretend that my kind of beauty is superior?" Tom reached out, taking her hand in his. The warmth of his touch sent a shiver through her biomagnetic field. "You don't have to pretend anything, Akira. You're beautiful, inside and out. Maybe this is your chance to show the galaxy a new kind of beauty." Akira squeezed his hand, drawing strength from his unwavering belief in her. "You do realize you're potentially sabotaging your own planet's chances of winning, don't you?" Tom laughed, the sound rich and genuine. "Hey, Earth's beauty can speak for itself. I'm more interested in seeing you shine." A chime sounded, signaling the imminent start of the pageant. Akira took a deep breath, her decision crystallizing. "Well then, Mr. Harrison, I suppose it's time to give the galaxy a show they'll never forget." As Akira took her place backstage, she could hear the excited murmur of the crowd. The arena was packed with beings from across the known universe, a dizzying array of shapes, sizes, and colors. Holographic displays hovered above, ready to broadcast the pageant to trillions of viewers across the galaxy. The first few contestants took the stage, each showcasing their species' unique concepts of beauty. There were beings of living crystal, creatures of pure energy, and life forms that defied human comprehension. Akira watched, her mind racing as she formulated her new approach. Finally, it was her turn. As she stepped onto the stage, the crowd fell silent, awed by her ethereal beauty. Akira took a deep breath, her skin shimmering with nervous energy. Esteemed judges, honored guests, citizens of the galaxy, she began, her melodic voice carrying across the arena. I stand before you today, not just as a contestant, but as someone whose understanding of beauty has been profoundly changed. A ripple of surprise ran through the audience. This was not the standard pageant speech they had expected. When I first arrived on Earth, I saw it as a primitive world, barely worth my attention, Akira continued, her voice growing stronger. But in my time here, I've discovered a beauty that transcends physical form or technological advancement. She gestured to the crowd, her eyes seeking out Tom's supportive gaze. I've seen beauty in the way humans cherish their brief lives, in the art they create to express their deepest emotions, in the love they share despite their differences. Akira's skin began to pulse with light, reflecting the passion in her words. True beauty, I've learned, is not about perfection or superiority. It's about the capacity to grow, to create, to love. It's about finding wonder in the simplest things, a sunset, a piece of music, a kind gesture. The audience was rapt, hanging on her every word. Even the judges leaned forward, intrigued by this unexpected turn. I came here believing I would show Earth the meaning of galactic beauty, Akira said, her voice filled with emotion. Instead, Earth has shown me that beauty is universal, infinite in its variety, and found in the most unexpected places. She paused, her gaze sweeping across the arena. So today, I don't stand before you as a paragon of alien perfection. I stand as someone who has been humbled, enlightened, and transformed by the beauty of a world I once dismissed. Akira's final words rang out clear and true. Whatever the outcome of this pageant, I am grateful for the journey that brought me here. And I invite all of you to open your hearts and minds to the unexpected beauty that surrounds us, on Earth and across the cosmos. As Akira finished, the arena erupted into a cacophony of reactions. Some beings cheered wildly, moved by her heartfelt words. Others muttered in disapproval, seeing her speech as a betrayal of galactic standards. The judges conferred in hushed tones, their expressions unreadable. Backstage, Tom was waiting, his face split in a wide grin. That, he said, pulling Akira into a tight embrace, was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Akira laughed, a mix of relief and exhilaration coursing through her. Even more beautiful than your hair? Well, let's not get carried away, Tom teased, running a hand through his artfully tousled locks. But it's a close second. The rest of the pageant passed in a blur. When the final results were announced, Akira found herself unsurprised to learn she hadn't won. The crown went to a being of pure light from the Andromeda galaxy, whose beauty was said to be capable of igniting stars. Yet as Akira stood on stage with the other contestants, she felt a sense of victory far greater than any she had experienced in her centuries of competition. She had spoken her truth, bridged a gap between worlds, and maybe, just maybe, changed a few minds along the way. As the pageant concluded and the crowds began to disperse, Akira found herself approached by beings from across the galaxy, all eager to learn more about Earth and its unique perspective on beauty. She answered their questions with patience and enthusiasm, her earlier nervousness replaced by a newfound sense of purpose. Tom watched from the sidelines, his heart swelling with pride. He had known Akira was special from the moment they met, but seeing her now, radiant with inner beauty and passion, he realized just how far she had come. Weeks passed, and the impact of Akira's speech rippled across the galaxy. Earth, once dismissed as a backwater planet, suddenly found itself at the center of a cultural renaissance. Alien tourists flocked to experience the art, music, and philosophy that had so profoundly affected the famous beauty queen. Akira and Tom stood at the observation deck of New York's newly constructed spaceport, watching as ships from across the cosmos landed, disgorging eager visitors from 1,000 worlds. "Well," Tom said, slipping his hand into Akira's, "I'd say your little speech was a hit, though I'm not sure New York was ready for quite this much tourism. Did you see the line at the Empire State Building? It stretches to New Jersey." Akira laughed, the sound as musical as ever. "Perhaps we should have kept Earth's charms a secret, though I must say it's gratifying to see the galaxy finally appreciating this little blue marble." Tom turned to her, his expression growing serious. "Speaking of appreciation, have you given any thought to what comes next? For you, I mean." Akira met his gaze, her violet eyes shimmering with emotion. "I have, actually. I've decided to stay on Earth, at least for now. There's still so much to learn, so much beauty to discover." She paused, a mischievous smile playing at her lips. "Plus, I hear there's this devastatingly handsome human who might be interested in showing me around." Tom's face split into a grin. "Is that so? Well, I happen to know a guy who'd be more than happy to play tour guide. Though I should warn you, his rates are steep. Payment is accepted only in the form of witty banter and the occasional interstellar makeout session." Akira laughed, pulling Tom close. "I think I can manage that." As they stood there hand in hand, the bustle of the spaceport faded into the background. Akira marveled at the journey that had brought her to this moment. She had come to Earth expecting to find a primitive world, but instead she discovered a new home, a new purpose, and a love that transcended the boundaries of species and space. The scene pulls back, rising higher and higher until Earth comes into view, a small blue marble suspended in the vast expanse of space. From this distance, the differences between humans and aliens, between advanced civilizations and developing worlds, seem insignificant. What remains is a planet pulsing with life, creativity, and a beauty all its own, ready to take its place in the grand tapestry of the cosmos. As the stars wheel overhead, Earth continues its eternal dance around the sun. No longer just a remote outpost on the galactic frontier, but a shining beacon of art, love, and unexpected beauty. And somewhere on its surface, an alien beauty queen and a charming human continue their own dance. Two hearts beating as one, a living testament to the power of love to bridge the greatest of divides. The galaxy, it seems, will never be quite the same again. And neither will Akira and Tom, forever changed by the beauty they found in each other and in the extraordinary ordinary world they now call home.